The best build Wolcen has ever seen. It's fun. It's strong. No, not this time. We're going back to the basics. Welcome back, boys and girls, to another Wolcen build guide for patch 1017, and this time a build without any unique items. In fact, I'm playing this build right now with just random yellow gear I found a second ago. And as you can see, we will create lots and lots of health globes, which will then explode into the enemy's face. So in case you're interested in playing this build, it's really fun and easy, then please stay tuned. Boom! In your face, man! Let's talk about the active skills first, and we will start with Bleeding Edge. And I have skilled Bleeding Edge like so in this L form, and I really like it because I deal additional damage to enemies under ailment stack effects. I like the increased area of effect radius, and I like the skill duration enhancement. I mean, you can mess around with it, but for me this particular setup feels really good with the build. And if I move on to our movement skill, the ether jump, that's pretty straightforward, nothing special here. Although I would like to mention that I have this cooldown of minus 1.4 seconds and I have this little buff activated. So it says I gain attack speed and spellcasting speed and a little bit of movement speed. If you can see, I have now the buff active and it lasts rather long. I mean, I have a 1 second cooldown, so I can keep this buff active all the time in case I have enough willpower. Oh fuck, wrong button. But of course you can remove those two nodes and get this one, which completely eliminates the cooldown, so you can spam this skill until you run out of willpower as a willpower dump or whatever. Okay. But I personally prefer this setup. But don't you worry, the link is in the description below with all the skills, so if in case I'm too quick, you can read it in your pace. Okay, then let's move on to Sovereign Shout. That's a very cool buff. It buffs various things, but the most important node is this one. It is one of the two sources or the three sources for the health globe generation. We have one passive which gives us the health globes and another active skill. We'll come to that later. And I have 6% as you can see because I activated this node, which bumps up all the effectiveness or all the goodies from the Sovereign Shout. The buff will be enhanced. If I remove this node, I have only 4%. Okay, so I would say these two are a must-have. You can skill like so, although I must admit this movement speed, you don't need it if you're fine with being a slouch. I'm not. You can maybe get like something like this, 7% global life leech, which helps your survivability, but I don't need this. I want to be quicker. Alrighty then let's move on to Plague Burst. And I have skilled Plague Burst like so. And one cool node, and it's a must-have, otherwise it's less fun, is this one. Okay? Because mobs which die in this Plague Burst effect, they explode, and here the explosions have a chance to drop health globes. You see where this is going, okay? Lots and lots of health globes. And another node worth mentioning is this one. Increased damage by the explosion for every ailment stack the enemy has, and we have a ton of those ailment stacks, so I would say these are a must. And again, you can mess around with it, but if you skill it like so, you will have the least trouble. Tier of Athelial is not worth mentioning. It's just straightforward our fire damage to get fire stacks. It's not a big deal. You can skill it like so, or in the other way. I will recommend it to skill it like so. There's nothing special about this skill, but the skill we are talking about now, Anomaly, has way more, let's say, critical nodes. Okay, for instance, this one. Health globes pulled into the vortex explode, dealing damage in area of effect. So all the health globes we are generating, they will be sucked into the vortex, and you have to cast this spell not right away. You create some health globes, then you cast it, and then you can let them explode with this particular node. Okay, so without this node, the build is absolutely not working. And the rest is pretty straightforward to have 2 vortexes and more ailment damage, blah, blah, blah. So you get the point. Okay, these are all our active skills. Now let's talk about the passives, and we will build the passives bit by bit so you can see some effects. Reset the passives, yes, that's what I want to do, and now let's get started. First things first, I would recommend to take the wildcard from the soldier tree because it bumps our critical chance. For instance, check anomaly, we have 18% here, and our plague burst has 24. 18 and 24, all right. Now we are going to grab these nodes, confirm them, and check. Boom, 26. So from 18 to 26 is pretty good, and here we have 31, okay? So don't miss this soldier node out. I really like it. In case you have any health problems, you could go for this node, but I would not really recommend it because damage is the king, okay? Now, I want to get this node, which pushes our ailment chance score. And there is a choice of either taking this node, which bumps our anomaly, or this one, which bumps our bleeding edge, okay? If you check it out, we have here 13.3% the stasis chance, and here our bleed chance is 14.9. So you can decide which node to take. If I take this one, for instance, because I can and I'm cool. If we check bleeding edge, boom, 16.8, okay? So there's a little choice here. And of course, this node, that's the main node because it bumps all of our ailment chances. So don't miss that out. And while we are here, we're going to the assassin tree because you want to have this 60% critical damage. Don't get bogged down by this minus 30% overall damage. It's really not that big of a loss. It's really a very good and fair trade. So take the assassin node. It's not a must-have for the build, but it really bumps up the critical damage. What else? Ah, yes, the Kabbalist tree. That's a very famous tree because it is our bread and butter. Our main damage comes from the Kabbalist tree. So, we take all these good nodes. I like the Kabbalist tree. I like ailment stacks. I like tons of them. I like having multiple stacks. I want to have them quicker. It is so good. And I take this one and I want to have an additional ailment stacks and I want to have more ailment damage. Oh yes, we want to have all those good things. And don't forget this one, yes. So it's ailment effects all the way. Oh, don't forget these two. Almost. Okay, so this is the Kabbalist tree. From here, we will switch over to our, let's say, defense section because we have the Praetorian. No, the Siegebreaker, I'm sorry, the Siegebreaker. And the Siegebreaker, it depends on the type of armor we are wearing. And in this case, it's all plate armor. We will come to the item section later on. But trust me, if you have tons of plate armor or heavy armor in this case, then we have tons and tons of resistances, which I personally prefer over having a greater health pool, okay? If you want to have these bruiser stuff. So let's start here. Elemental damage, yes, and then we have here occult damage because we don't want to get the block efficiency, no. So this is the way to go. And another source of big damage is the disallowing vessel. It kind of sucks a bit because you have this, let's say, reduced movement. That's the reason why I chose the 25% movement speed from the Sovereign Shout and from the, let's confirm it quickly, the teleport in order to mitigate the slowness of the disallowing vessel. And what it does, you see those points, which are adding up. If I have all of the points, then I have tons and tons of resistances. Where are they? Here, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as I'm moving, oh no, I forgot this one. I'm very sorry. Confirm. Now do the same thing again. here. That's the trick. See? So I have 13,000. It's 80% resistances. And as soon as I move, it will drop because I lose these points while moving. And as soon as I'm standing still, points will be added up. And then my resistances, holy crap, are going up again. Okay. So this is our resistance buff. That's very nice to have. I would take that. Take that, Robbie Williams. And as we are already on that path, we will take this node, which is a nice bonus damage in case there are some mobs around us. And since we are in the middle of stuff, that's a very good bonus damage you should not leave out. I go over to this node. The global life leech, you can take it if you are level 90. I have the build planner for level 90 online. You can check it out, but don't take it. It's not a must. It's just if you have the points. And one important note is this one, because you want to deal 25% additional damage with crippled enemies. And since the stasis, our anomaly, inflicts stasis, so this is 25% from this particular node. Very, very nice. Okay, what else can we do? Yes. I forgot something very important. And this is our health globe generation from the passives, okay? It is this particular node here. It's an additional 4% health globe generation. And yes, 4% doesn't sound much, but trust me, it is. So we really need to pick up this node. And in order to get here, I need this node. And in order to get this node, we have a choice of 6% movement speed, which is nice, but I like the 10% cooldown much more. So we take this here, go over here and take our 4% health globe generation. Now, if you have the points with level 90, you can take those two in addition. So you have even more resistance and stuff if you pick up health globes, but that's not a must for the build, but this is, okay? And now the next section I want to talk about is the Time Weaver. I really like the Time Weaver because of this particular one. It saved my ass a lot of times because we only get 40% from a big swing. For instance, a big boss is giving us a swing, and instead of dealing 100% damage, which probably could one-shot us, we only get 40% damage. And then we have a time window of 1 second to do countermeasures like drinking a potion, picking up a health globe, or trigger the health generation or life leech or whatsoever, in order to be safe, not to get the full damage, only part damage, and then we take the rest. And we have a little bit time to prepare for that. So this is one must-have node, and the other one is which time cannot heal. So if we apply stasis, and this is what we do, then the enemies will get the damage again after a little delay, and this little thing here pushes it even to 120% instead of 100%. So I recommend to go to this section. So we go over here. Spell damage is very good. And now we take all the good stuff. Ether damage, that's yummy because we deal ether damage. Ether damage is our friend, more ether damage. And another thing worth noting is the 5 maximum ailment stacks. That's absolutely nice. So I have this one, and ooh, there's more ailment stacks. Take it. Take it. Okay, so that's the Time Weaver. And where do we go from here? Yes, we have 12 points left. I would recommend the EOS. So with those two nodes, if we activate them, what it means is that if there is any enemy type, if you have both nodes, it doesn't matter which enemy, and it has 15% health, there's a chance that it just dies instantly. So this is 15% less damage we need to deal. And if you think about a big boss or a big champ with a big health bar, that's really helping a lot. So that's why I want it. I want it. Do you understand? I want it. Attack damage stinks, but spell damage is cool. So I get this. Boom. Okay, we're not done yet. There is another node I would really recommend, and this is toxic damage, this and this one. 0 points. I'm lucky. The Undertaker from the Plaguebringer. And what it does is we have a 10% chance that a green globe is generated. If we pick it up, we deal 30% additional damage as toxic for 5 seconds. So that's absolutely beautiful. So as you can see, I'm 85, no points left. If I would be 90, I would go for this nodes maybe. I think they're funny. Or you can maybe pick this up for the bleeding edge, or you get more into resistances, whatsoever. You understand, you get the point. Yes, confirm. All right, then let's move on with the next section of the video. Let's talk about the attributes before we go to the item section. And as far as the attributes are concerned, it's pretty straightforward. Look, I have 32k health because my crappy yellow gear isn't very good. I don't even have gems socketed into them, so I have a bad health. I have a bad health, I'm sick, I have corona. No, my health pool is way too low. So I can push my toughness a little bit until a certain threshold where I think that's comfortable. I do not die too often, and so I can push a little bit of ferocity to gain a little bit more critical chance. But in case you have tons of health because your equipment is super cool, you can of course go all into ferocity in order to push your damage and your crit. And if you say no, the damage is absolutely fine, but I'm dying too often, you can go all toughness, okay? So it's really a matter of playstyle and items. Maybe you can do a mix 50-50 to bump up your health to a certain amount and to bump up your damage and crit. Okay, that's all about the stats, and let's talk about the items. In order to run this build, you need to have lots of unique items. If you don't have all the unique items, it just won't work. Come on, shut up! Okay, let's talk about the items real quick. And I personally go for all heavy gear because I really like to have those resistances coming from the passive Siegebreaker node, the bonus. The more all resistance score the heavy item has, the more it adds up for the overall resistance score you get. That's really, really nice. So all heavy gear. Some people run with a bruiser helmet and a bruiser chest in order to get this health regeneration, but I personally don't like it. I don't see the point. I like the resistances, but that's a matter of preference, I guess. And yes, of course, we need a one-handed melee weapon in order to cast our bleeding edge, and I like the dagger because they can roll really high, and you need a catalyst. And in terms of gems for the catalyst or your accessories, there is a choice between having these transfer time decrease between willpower and rage, or if I check my super gear, there is spell critical chance socketed. I think these are support 2 sockets and not support 3s like those, but I may be mistaken. The difference is if you go for spell critical chance score, of course you deal more damage, but then you are starving for resources at a point because the transfer time is just not quick enough. And if you check here, the transfer time between the willpower and rage is really, really high. I really like that. Personally, the feeling when I play this build, I have a better feeling with these transfer time reduction in comparison to the damage I gain here for the spell critical chance. Okay, but that's up to you. Fine. So for the pants, I have 2 block gems into it because we can block a significant amount. Don't underestimate the block chance. It's really good. I think it's more beneficial than having 2 health gems or anything else. But that's again a matter of choice. I like those block chances on the pants. Yes, for accessory types, I like the steel rings because they have the crit damage as a white stat, which is pretty nice. And for the belt, I use the catalytic strap because they have spell damage percentage on them as a white stat. That's also really nice. And in general, what you should look for is every heavy piece should have all resistance score, and if possible, even all resistance score as a flat value and as a percentage. Like this shoulder piece, it has 211 flat score on the item plus 71% on top. So this is a really good one. This yellow shoulder, for instance, has only the flat value without the percentage. Yeah, this happens. I mean, if you take My boots, for instance, they also have only the flat value and no percentage, but they have the movement speed, and I really like the movement speed because check out how slow this character is because of the disallowing vessel. So if you use something with movement speed, of course, it helps really mitigating this slowness. Okay, good. As far as the chest is concerned, I have the all resistance core because again, I like resistances. If I put on my good red gear, which I found myself or crafted myself by messing up the yellow items by increasing the rarity and quality, you can see I have pretty high resistances. Yes, here, 88.5%. As far as I remember, I think 90% is the cap, but I may be mistaken. So I really like the resistances. And stats-wise, I mean, everything which adds to your spell damage or critical damage or cooldown reduction, you know, those kind of things. Ferocity is always cool. You can't go wrong basically, and that's why I want to put on the yellow gear, which is absolutely random. I found that there is no modification. They have even only 3 stats on them instead of 4. So yeah, it's just crappy stuff. They don't have even sockets with gems, nothing. Yeah, that's it. So you can run the build really with very crappy gear. It's absolutely fine. Good. So I would say let's take this build into action, and then we will finally quit the video. Okay, boys and girls, I've just opened up a level 187, and as you can see, I still have the crappy gear with no sockets whatsoever, and it's really a decent play experience. I have lots of health globes generated here. There are the green globes. I can pick them up to deal more damage. Boom, that's it. I go to the next group and I just press my macro button, which casts all the spells in order to create the globe. Sometimes it's not even necessary to use the anomaly to explode the health globes because the little mobs, they just die. I need something bigger like a champ in order to show the build's full potential. But it's a very decent experience at the end of the day. I really like this build. It's fun to play. I like when the enemies get sucked in, the globes get sucked in, and there's just a massive bunch of yellow numbers. I like it. I really like it. Of course, the gear I have right now is absolutely crappy, so I cannot showcase a 3-minute untainted run. I really can't. With the red gear I have, which is my own gear, I was able to do like 5 to 6 minutes. That's absolutely okay. It's not a build without trial belt or frostwave where you can browse through an untainted run in under 2 minutes. It's not possible, but it's fine. It's an honest build. I really like it. And in case you like it too, then please like the video. If you absolutely disagree and think this is absolute rubbish, what I'm saying, then please let me know in the comments. Let's have a little discussion, because by the end of the day we are one community and the game is not very, let's say, popular. Some people say, oh, it's almost dead. So it would be really nice if at least the community will stick together and improve the builds, and so everybody can have fun instead of just being toxic idiots and flaming, because this does not help the game. This does help absolutely nobody. Okay, so with that said, then please stay safe. I see you in the next video. Good night.
12 o'clock midnight.
Psst, but if you do have the trial build, you can do pretty cool stuff. But don't tell anybody, it's a secret. It's amazing.